Welcome, America, to Amendment1Radio.com, where your First Amendment rights are still safe to say what's on your mind. Good evening, and welcome to another Amendment1Radio.com, coming at you to sit there and talk about what's on our mind. And if anybody's got anything that's on their mind that they want to talk about, they can call at 727-493-2055. So anywho, let's get started on this and see what kind of fun we can have this evening. I'm sure that everybody mostly has heard about the good old Petraeus deal. So it should be pretty interesting to see what's happening. But actually, it's kind of a sad thing because I know that when he did his book, and well, not actually his book, but when he sat there and basically said Obama was kind of pretty much wouldn't take matters into hand and let the military do their job overseas, and then he got taken off the general ranking there and wound up, come to find out where he kind of disappeared, that he wound up being the leader of the CIA. Pretty interesting. That's how you shut somebody up and keep their money going. So then afterwards, now he goes out, and then he's got this wonderful little gal that, let's see here. Paula Broadwell. His so-called biographer. Not a bad-looking old gal. So I don't know. Rumor has it that his wife's pretty homely looking, but hey, who knows? So, but it's just like, oh well. I mean, hey, it's maybe a step up or a step down. Who knows? In this case, it's going to be a heck of a financial burden. But yeah, so it should be pretty interesting to see how this all turns out because. Yeah, there's a lot of information that's leading into the Benghazi Strip there about the dignitary that got killed over there, along with several military people. And it was just kind of interesting to find out how they were going to tie all this in and who was going to wind up being basically the scapegoat of the whole deal. So it looks like we got the beginning of part of it. So we got Petraeus that's involved. Paula Broadwell that's involved with it. You've also got another military leader, another general that's involved. Not to mention that there are several other people that are actually involved with it in military standpoints that, it's a sad day. It really is. I mean, if the guy would have been out there, having a wild time with his biographer and, not having so much so-called pillow talk going on there, then maybe he could have sit there and walked away from this unscathed, but that ain't going to happen. I say I definitely see that. So, because rumors got it that according to several regular radio shows that they're saying that there was clearance talk that was given away to the Paula Broadwell and also the other girl, Jill something or other, that's here in Tampa. So, which actually kind of like, from a military standpoint, that's conduct unbecoming. And I know years ago they used to consider it almost kind of like a treason act to sit there and tell your other sides and other people about what was going on in military areas, and it should have never been explained. But we'll have to wait and see how this one kind of like continues on, because it's definitely going to be I think this is going to wind up being Obama's Watergate, and that good old Petraeus is going to wind up being the Ollie North of the 2012 incident here. So, because when it's all said and done, it's going to be really interesting to find out, who's actually going to have the actual blame, and who's going to take the blame for what's actually happened over there. So. And even with Obama getting a little bit upset with McCain about sitting there saying that they're going to block him if he decides to nominate Susan Rice for Secretary of State, then, and actually I can have to say that I have to agree with McCain and stuff, because a lot of her background and stuff, not to mention the fact that, when Obama said that she was supposed to go in there and she did what she had to do when she had her interview, that she told everybody that the incident had occurred because of the video that was released on YouTube, which actually, they find out now that basically it had nothing to do with that. This was all kind of like hidden pretty well, to the point of that they thought that maybe it might have some kind of an outcome on the election altogether, which I really don't think that would have made any difference at all because pretty much Obama was going to win just by, being Obama. So, I mean, there's many people that sit there and said they voted for Obama because of race, because of free phones, free medical, and quite a bit of other things that are free. But, hey, that's what this country's made from. We have a democracy. We have the right to choose whoever we want for whatever reason we want. Now, is he the best man for the job? Personally, I say no. Was Romney any better? No, I don't think he was either. So, but, that's neither here nor there. It's done and it's all over with, so you can't cry over spilled milk and the election ain't going to re-happen for another 4 years. So, but it's definitely going to be very interesting. I think that Susan Rice is actually going to come out of it unscathed. I think when it's all said and done, you're going to see Petraeus, depending on his testimony that he's supposed to give tomorrow, it should be rather interesting because I'd like to see that being that he's resigned and technically has no more military or anything that he basically has to answer to the commander in chief. Let's see if he goes in there and says anything to the effect that under his own investigation that, he found out that, other people knew about this and that, it was just basically covered up. So that way it wouldn't affect an election outcome. So I'm really kind of curious as to see what he's going to say. So kind of looking forward to hearing what it's going to be portrayed tomorrow on regular radio shows and see what happens. So, but yeah, so other than that, it's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, this thing's going to heat up pretty nasty. So, because I know that even one of the ladies that are involved in this, I mean, they went in there and done all of her background check, and I mean, this lady's like $3.2 million in debt, getting ready to file bankruptcy. She's married to a doctor, a prominent doctor here in Tampa, and I mean, it's sad to say, but how do you get $3.2 million in debt, and how do you become a honorary person that can sit there and come and go as you please on a military base, because of these standings? It's like, I'm sorry, folks, that military base is government property. It's there for the military personnel to sit there and make sure that they have a protected area, that they never have to worry about anything affecting them on that base. Not to mention the fact that the people in that base can sit there and maintain, taking care of people around the area in case if anything should happen in a bad way. So, but luckily, McDill got off their keister there, and they put a stop to her so-called free pass. So now she's no longer allowed into McDill Air Force Base, which is great. I think that's good. The commanders and chiefs and stuff, they're finally starting to get together, and I think we're going to find that this whole Benghazi thing is just going to be one nasty, nasty situation. So, and I'm definitely going to do a lot more research on it and see more into it and see just exactly where it's really going to go. So, I kind of hope that Petraeus won't pull an Ollie North and sit there and say, I plead the fifth to everything. And then, years later, you find out he's doing really good because he basically kept his mouth shut and didn't say anything bad. So, keep my fingers crossed. I got to hope that here's a man that spoke out against Obama once. Let's see if he's got the nads now that he's a civilian to sit there and go on regular terms and see what he's got to say about his commander in chief now. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. But it should be a rather interesting deal. And, the biggest thing I know that they're talking about is the fact that, they broke this story after Obama was elected. So, and then it's just like they're trying to figure out, okay, well, what are we going to do? How's it going to be done? And nobody knew anything. So, because even on one of the articles here that I'm reading right now, it sits there and it says Obama said Wednesday he's seen no evidence that national security was damaged by the revelations that ended his CIA director's career and imperiled that of his Afghanistan war commander. But lawmakers aren't taking Obama's word for it and grilled FBI and CIA officials privately about the same issues, whether national security was jeopardized by the case and why they don't know about the investigation sooner. So, and I mean, it's going to be a nasty one. So, and it's just like even this another paragraph here. It says a fast-moving scandal broke just days after President Barack Obama was elected to a second term in office. Obama's administration had been on the defensive for weeks because of terror attack in the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, that left 4 Americans dead. Briefings on the attack had been postponed until after the election and are now focused more immediately on Petraeus' love life than on how terrorists were able to attack the poorly defended consulate. Well, that's pretty bad. And I mean, for the people that lost their relatives that are still living here, for those 4 Americans that are dead, that's pretty rude. I mean, that's just downright absolutely ridiculous. They want to sit there and, they postpone this until after the president can be elected to let somebody know what was going on. I mean, really, something. And is that what this country has come to? The fact that you can stand back and say, okay, well, look, we've got a commander in chief here that needs to be reelected. So, we're not going to say anything bad. We're not going to brief him. Let him have his moment of glory. And, we're just going to pretend that he doesn't have to run the country here for the next 2 weeks and he can just be a regular politician and campaign for his reelection. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to wait to see if he gets it. And if he gets it, then we'll tell him that, oh, hey, by the way, 4 Americans were killed over there because somebody let it slip, about something that was going on over there that somebody shouldn't have been finding out about. And it's like, really? Is that, I mean, the FBI wants to continue to investigate it. The CIA wants to investigate it. Well, then let's investigate it. Now if you want to sit there and focus more on Petraeus and, and the fact that he likes to go out and swing a little bit on the side there, have a wild life and, be a wild man. Hey, who cares? Something? Who really gives a rat's ass what the man did? If he wanted to sit out there and bang 20 hookers, I don't give a rat's ass. But the bottom line of it is the fact that now if he was in there telling those 20 hookers that, hey, something, we've got our military guys at such and such spot and, we're fixing to do this or we're fixing to do that, then, hey, I'm sorry. Then you've got a problem. Then you go in there and you strip him of his stars. You put him out in civilian life and you sit there and tell him, now we're going to prosecute you. For going in there and releasing federal, government secrets that endangered many of Americans' lives. So, and something? That's why they have that place. I think it's still intact. It's called Leavenworth. Stick them in there, give them a permanent vacation. And for all the rest of the military clowns that was out there swinging D's and having fun, something? If you're out there being that ridiculous and that dumb, to sit there and jeopardize your own men that you're the main commander of, then something? I got no sympathy for you. You need to go in there and basically you need to be locked away because, you're supposed to be leading these men. You're supposed to be leading by example. Hey, this is the way you lead by telling your utmost secrets to some, so-called love life interest on the side. That you want to sit there and let her know that everything that's going on or how this is happening or why that's happening. No, you don't. You keep your mouth shut there, General. So, I have a lot of respect for you, in the beginning and stuff when you stood up and told Obama that, hey, look, basically, you need to sit your ass down and let the military take over here. We can solve this problem and get it taken care of. But instead, hey, guess what? They put you out. That's why you became the director of the CIA. And now all of a sudden you basically went here and, what'd you do? Too many bombs going off around you, concussions or something going on there. I guess apparently you didn't put the helmet on the right head there to get your brain straightened out. So, but, hey, this is what we have examples. These are your high ranking military officials that are out there doing this kind of stuff. And then you get involved with nobodies that want to sit there and become somebody because they're hanging out with the in crowd because they want to be like the Kardashians and have something going on for them in life and other than what they can actually do. And it's just like, hey, you know something, people, be who you are, be proud of who you are. And if you sit there and you do good in your life the whole time, then you know something, you've done your mark in life. Don't ever outstep your bounds to where you know you're going to be something you're not, because in all life, everybody hates a person that's fake. And, you know, and it's just, and that's the way it is, even in military, even in government. I mean, look at our politicians. I mean, really, people. I mean, let's sit back and look. Let's think about everything. And it's like, okay, well, hey, guess what? We got Obamacare that is not going to change. So, and the problem here is that most people don't realize that Obama health care tax, it is exactly that, a tax. So, well, guess what? For those of you who so wanted to sit there and give him another term, hey, I hope it works out. You know, I really do, honestly. I hope the man sits in there and I hope he tells the rest of the politicians in there that, hey, guess what? We can no longer have government running our people. We need to have the people sit there and have their voices heard to where we can make distinct changes and get this country back up where it needs to be. Because if we don't do something here very quick and make something happen that's going to benefit, you know, the people for today, then guess what? You're going to be hurting for the kids tomorrow. Because think about tax cuts. All right. Now, you're going to sit there and you're not going to renew all of the Bush tax cuts. You know, I can understand a lot of people sit there and say, well, you know, the rich should pay more. Well, here's what you got to understand. And I mean, it's kind of a torn issue, you know, because I'm kind of like on the fence of it because, you know, the rich people that sit there and own a lot of these major businesses and stuff like that, you put them in a bracket to where they have to pay more taxes and they're employing, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people. And you sit there and you take their tax bracket to where they've got to sit there and pay like 3, 4, 5 times more than what they were paying. Well, they got to make cuts because they're used to a certain income. They're going to make those cuts. And guess what? Now you are creating job loss, not job gains, but job losses. So now, what do you do now? Okay, you give tax breaks for the middle class to help them get back up on their feet. Well, you know, honestly, here, let's seriously sit down and think about it. You're going to sit there and give tax breaks, which, you know, hey, I'm in agreement. Tax breaks are great, you know, but the bottom line of it is this. Why don't we do a straight tax across the board of all goods and services, period? Because guess what? Then you sit there and you collect roughly about 95 to 98% of your taxes will be collected. In this country, there's 50% of taxes that are never collected by government. So, and I mean, each and every one of us are guilty of it. We all do it. Everybody's done it. How many times did somebody sit there and did some kind of a job to where the homeowner or the person that did the job says, well, hey, look, you know, if you pay me cash, do I get 10% off or something like that? And everybody's like, oh, yeah, 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 let's do it. So, you know, and they do it. The construction industry is famous for it. You know, how many times has there been everything from so-called envelope deals? Well, hey, you know something? I'm trying to get this $1 million bid over here. I know the GC, and you know something? If I sit there and after I make my first draw, let's just say an envelope drops on the floor and the GC picks it up. Well, guess what? He just got a free vacation paid for a month to Hawaii. But you know something? And it's just, this is the way we do. You know, cash is king in our country. We sit there and we've become, and it's sad to say, we have become a nation of fat, lazy people that want to sit there and, you know, we don't want to bitch at the right people. We want to sit there and say, well, you know, the rich people, it's their fault. You know, I'm sorry. This country was built on the premises of being able to go in there and you have the opportunity to make yourself great in this country. Right now, it's kind of hard. And I mean, you really got to struggle and you got to sit there and bust your keister and really make things happen. And you know something? I applaud those people that go out there and work their 2 jobs, 3 jobs to sit there and keep their families going and stuff like that. My hat's off to them. I know quite a few people that do. I know a lot of people that work extra jobs and stuff. And you know something? And it's great that they do that because, it gives them a sense of entitlement, a sense of pride, a sense of well being that, hey, guess what? I'm working my ass off, but I'm making something happen out of it. So, and that's the thing. That's where we need to be. We need to be in a situation to where America can start building America back up. I mean, because if you really sit there and think that all those campaign promises that all these politicians sit there and promise you during their campaign, let me tell you something. Ask one of the politicians about what campaign promise did they make during their campaign, and probably most of them won't even remember. So, because it's all typical lies. It's just like, hey, I'm going to sit there and make something look great when it's not. We ran the absolute biggest, craziest, campaign that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, these guys were chopping each other off at the knees and, and it's just basically raising hell with each other. But yet, guess what? Hey, everything's done, over with. They're back in office. They're talking. They're buddy, and they want to sit there and work together to try and make something happen. Do I believe that? No. Do I see anything starting to happen? No, because you're going to have your so-called Christmas session coming up here real soon that all the guys, all these wonderful politicians will be taking time off, with being able to go home to their families, sit back and enjoy everything. And, and they can do this kind of stuff. How many people do you know out there this year that, these so-called 7, 8, 9, 10 million people that are unemployed? How do you think they're going to do over these holidays? You got Thanksgiving next week. Guess what? A lot of people ain't eating, because of the simple fact that the unemployment is still up. Okay. Jobs are still kind of scarce. And, it's hard to sit there and, and I know people have a hard time with it. It's just like, hey, if you got to go work 2 jobs at McDonald's and everything like that, it's hard to do. And I understand that. Everybody has pride, and then, and the worst thing about it is we wind up hitting rock bottom, and it's just like, what happens? We still got, our pride. Well, our pride ain't worth nothing anymore because, our government has stepped in and they've made situations for us that are going to be very hard to get out of. I mean, free phone, EBT, uh, you know, cash, all of this kind of stuff, and hey, guess what? We're all guilty of it, I myself included. And, and this is where we have to sit there and say, okay, well, something, enough is enough. We can't sit there and take no more BS. We can't sit there and, come up with more excuses of why we can't go do something. We just need to get out and do it. So, and it's just like, hey, I'm one of the worst procrastinators out of all. And it's just like, but, I'm in a situation now with myself. Hey, I've got to make something happen. Just like all the rest of us in America. We were given the gift of being able to have an education, to go to school, and to learn the basic and fundamentals in life to sit there and see what we can do to make life better. Well, for those of us that, had the opportunity, that wanted to go to college and could do it and afford it and everything, they did it. And, they got the education, and now as far as, are these people, better than anybody else? No. They made a choice that they wanted to improve their lifestyle. And that's, and there's nothing bad about that. That's why this country used to be the greatest country of all, because we all have a choice to sit there and go forwards and not backwards. But unfortunately, in the past few years, along with about 4 years before that, our country has made a choice to go backwards. We're in debt over our necks, as far as, can they pull it out? Well, actually, they can. If you sit there and we start making a stance and we start calling to action to tell these politicians that, hey, something, we're tired of you sitting there giving us your religious beliefs, your views on how Americans should be, or your view about, well, I need to send more people overseas and have them do work over there so we can put more money in our pockets. No, we need to go back to basics. let's go back to basics with, okay, hey, let's go back to a tax, one tax, flat tax all the way across, and this is the best way we can work it. Then you go in there and you tell the corporations out of this country and stuff like that, say, hey, well, guess what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to quadruple the taxes on your importing into the United States. Now, you have the choice. You can come back into the United States. We'll give you a 5-year tax break of 0% interest if you will employ a certain amount of people and add on so many people per year per, your income. Because if you don't have a tax base for the first 5 years, you got to be making some serious money. If you're not, then you're going to be out of business. And, that's just shame on you for not doing it right. And I mean, and this can be applied to a lot of things, growing, agriculture, all of this stuff that we sit there and we grow all these massive crops that they sit there and say, well, we can't do nothing with the food. It brings down the price too low and this and that, so-called ethanol. Get rid of ethanol. Throw that crap out. You know how many people I know that's got different kinds of engines and stuff that the ethanol has sit there and basically destroyed. So, keep running that one up there. And then we need to go in there to energy, alternative energy. Well, hey, Obama, how's that Cilantro plant working for you, along with that A123 battery company that, is $1 trillion in debt that didn't do nothing for us except put $1 trillion in debt on top of taxpayers? Well, you know something? You need to be going after each and every one of the people that were involved in that, and you need to find out where the money went to, and then you need to sit there and tell them, hey, boys, guess what? We're taking everything you got, and just be done with it, and put them out in the street, I mean, it's not that complicated. I can't see where this is that complicated. All this stuff about, the wars and everything overseas and stuff. Well, something, there is problems overseas. We do have people that hate us from, all around the world, but we still don't do nothing about it. We go over there, we kiss their asses, we do this, we do that. And if somebody gets out of line, there is such a thing as collateral damage. Well, something, it's going to happen. It happened to us, Twin Towers, collateral damage. Benghazi, collateral damage. But the bottom line of it, who takes the responsibility? I mean, really, this is where, the biggest thing of all, where does a responsible party have to answer? Well, hey, 9/11, Bush and Cheney, both of you boys, you guys should be in prison for the rest of your lives. And you need to go in there and do a true investigation and find out which branch of government went there and decided they'd pull the trigger on that one. So, and then I'd go after the nice little guy that owned the real estate on building 7 that sit there and collapse. What happened? Somebody go walking by there and sneeze and the building blew up. Well, because there's no other evidence of anything else. So give me a break, folks. In the construction industry, you see a lot of stupid things and a lot of things that ways are built and how hard it is to bring down buildings and stuff. And something, I'm not a professional on it, but I know damn good and well a flying piece of paper that was on fire that hit it didn't blow that building up and cause it to come down. I mean, really, are we that stupid that we believe this kind of horse crap? This is ridiculous. It's just, this is where accountability of the government has to happen. I sit there and, I listen to other shows during the day. One of them I like to listen to is Rush Limbaugh. Hey, the man's pretty interesting. But also at the same time, he works for a Republican base. Okay. And it's like, guess what, guys? Republican Party, you guys need to go in there and do a massive reform of the Republican Party, because your own egos are what cost you this past election. Okay. You guys got on the bandwagon. You had to throw your religious beliefs in there. You had to sit there and say, well, you're going to sit there and Planned Parenthood. You're going to bring, you're going to turn Roe versus Wade. Well, guess what? How's that working for you now, Romney? You know something? Because you're an idiot. The Republican Party, shame on you guys. The Democratic Party, shame on you guys. So, but it's like, where do we go? Will they work together? That remains to be seen. Is this country going to be screwed, or are we going to possibly have a chance to get out and, and bring our country back to greatness within the next 4 years? I'm not you know, crystal ball reader, and I can't wave a magic wand and sit there and say, hey, it's going to happen. I have to sit there and think about common sense, and actually it's pretty interesting because common sense tells me this, you know, Obama's got to do something, whether it's right or wrong. He's got to make some serious changes in what he's doing. One of the biggest changes that he has is being that Hillary's resigning and she's retiring out as Secretary of State come January 20th. He's got to have another Secretary of State. Now, Susan Rice, do I believe that's the perfect choice? Not on your life. So, and then you've got another one that wants to be Speaker of the House. That pig-headed, nasty old bitch, Nancy Pelosi. You know something? They need to kick that broad completely out of politics. They need to retire that old wrinkled-ass, prune-faced old bitch and get her off the damn government aspect altogether. She needs to be stuck her ass back in a retirement home, stick her in a wheelchair, and feed the bitch prunes all day because she's she's ridiculous. So, I mean, anybody in government that'll sit there on national TV and just sit there and tell somebody, well, hey, let's hurry up and sign this bill and we'll read what's in it later. Really? Has this country become that bad to where we'll listen to some pig-headed old bitch like that sit there and say something like that? I mean, this is ridiculous. These are the kind of things that you need to sit there and think about. Okay. This is the kind of mentality that you want to sit there and tell you that, yes, you can do this and no, you can do that. No, this country is based on, your constitutional rights. And you know something? You people need to start reading them. You really need to start seeing what are your constitutional rights. Something, and I mean, and it's pretty interesting the fact that, you can go in certain parts of this country and, you can be fined for saying certain phrases. I mean, really. I mean, there's parts of this country, pardon my French, you say fuck, and guess what? You get a ticket. If you go in there and put it a little bit further, you can be arrested. I mean, that's your First Amendment right that is being taken away right there. You have the right to sit there and make a point, to sit there and say what's on your mind, to be able to speak what you want to say or how you feel. Now, can you go in there and say, hey, this person does this and he's a total buffoon and blah, blah, blah. Hey, if you want to get into a slander suit, then, go ahead. So, if you want to sit there and say, well, this person did such and such and it was the worst person in the world and blah, 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 and 10 people don't use them, well, now you got defamation of character. So, it's all common sense here, folks. I mean, we didn't really sit there and do our due diligence on, these past two candidates, Obama and Romney. None of us did. We all wanted to sit there and say, well, I'm watching TV and they said Romney shipped all these jobs overseas. Well, I'm watching this other stuff and Obama lied about health care. You know something? Why don't you sit back and look and say, okay, well, something? I'm not going to sit here and listen to this aspect, but let me go check. Internet's a wonderful thing if you want it to be. I'm going to go check on the internet. I'm going to find out what was, how it happened, when it happened, what did happen, and who was the responsible party for it. Well, guess what? If you would have sat there and did that, you would have been shocked. Because, hey, something, people, I'm going to tell you what, I told you before, not too long ago, you had an appointment by Hillary Clinton and good old Obama. And now there's other people involved in it too that went to the UN about your gun rights. Guess what, people? It's happening right now as we speak. So you better really start getting off your cans and really start doing your due diligence. And you need to really start sitting there and contacting your UN officials and really see where we stand on a lot of these issues. So, and what I'm hoping to do is here within about the next 2 weeks to go ahead and get the information and the contact info and stuff to where people can go in there and you can fax your numbers, you can fax your messages, you can fax whatever you need to do. Start sending stuff into the Secretary of State before she leaves office and tell her what a scumbag she is for even trying to do that to America. But also at the same time, you got to remember something too. when Obama first was campaigning for his first term, him and good old Ted Kennedy went down to, I believe it's Massachusetts, where Ted Kennedy was from, or Maine, one of those states. And you know what was interesting is they went down there and they put a thing into where they wanted to make Amendment 2 set up to where it was for military personnel and law enforcement agencies to have guns. And, so guess what? We didn't pay attention then. Well, you better damn well pay attention now, because this ain't no joke. This ain't no BS. And the NRA better get off their keisters and start really checking into this and finding out what exactly is going on. So, because this is going to be one massive problem that I would say within the next 12 months before next year, the end of next year, this time, you're going to see something that's going to affect American gun rights. And I hope it doesn't happen. And I mean, because this ain't a good thing. How are you supposed to, protect yourself? The old joke about, if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. Well, something that may not be too fictional. That may be coming right around the corner to us. So, and this is just like unbelievable. So, and, it's just ridiculous. So, but, and this is where we need to find out, what are Americans made of now? Are they ready to go in there and say, okay, hey, look, something? We've had enough. We need to sit there and start asking all these so-called high-paid politicians. I mean, because really, folks, look at the way they work. Look at their work schedules. What do? They're 8 to 5. They go into a couple of late nights. They get to sit out there and, hang out with the lobbyists, hang out with special interests, hang out with all the extra people that are going to sit there and give them extra cash or extra bonuses or extra gifts or free trips or free that, or you get to bang your biographer or hang out with the secretary on the desk late night, the fringe benefits of being a top politician. So, where's the accountability? Damn, there's that word again, accountability. Our government has no accountability because their situation is it's all the people's fault. You people don't listen to what we tell you to do, so it's your own fault that we can't do these things for you. And it's just like, I've actually seen and heard politicians sit there and say this kind of stuff. And the worst part about it is, it made no damn sense. What are we talking about? They don't know. They skirt around the issues, and this is the kind of stuff that happens. We take them in faith because we have to believe in these people. And hell, go in there, look up your politicians, look up their arrest records, see if there's arrest records, see what they've done in their past. Because, hey, Big Brother can sit there and do anything he wants with you. I mean, look at Facebook. All you people out there with your big iPhones and your iPads and everything like that. Hey, it's already been said that Facebook sells off every bit of the information that they get. So guess what? Go ahead and get that Facebook account. Go ahead and get that iPad, that iPhone. All that information that you're sitting there pushing through and doing and having all that fun with. Well, something? 20 million other Americans and 100 million other people around the world are getting the same thing. So, yeah. So keep thinking that, we're not being watched or we're not being taped or we're not being listened to. So, and it's just, I don't get it. We have to sit there and maintain an accountability from our government to the people. Even our Constitution says we the people, and this is the thing. We the people have to be stronger and bigger than our government, because when the government becomes bigger and stronger than us, we're in deep trouble. So, and that's where we're at right now. How does the government sit there and keep controlling us? It's pretty simple. They keep giving us free stuff. Okay. That free stuff has to be paid from somewheres. And, and that somewheres is us. It's still going to come back. Our kids, that each and every American kid right now that's being born into this world, in this country right now, is hit with about an estimated $50,000 to $55,000 debt. So, that's what you want to bring into this world? $50,000 worth of debt on your own child? It needs to be to where when we bring these kids into this world that they're going to be able to have $50,000 with no problems because they worked and they got what they needed. They shouldn't be burdened with any kind of debt from government or any other lobbyist or anybody else from around this world, especially our government. I mean, my God, look at what they get paid. They got retirement for life. They got health insurance for life. What more can they get? I mean, I can understand doing that for a president. I mean, because the 4 years that he has to sit there and basically deal with a nation of problems, I sympathize with him. Hey, the man, I've never seen a president that's walked in there with a normal head of hair by the time he got out of office if he wasn't all gray. I mean, sit there and think about it, really. There hasn't been a president yet. So, and, I mean, hey, this is something that puts many years on you and puts a lot of heartache, a lot of stress and everything like that. But also at the same time, let these politicians answer to the people. Put the country back on track for the people. Quit worrying about how much money can you guys put in your pocket. How much money is it going to benefit to send jobs overseas? I mean, the American people bailed out GM, but yet we've got Obama that's letting GM go ahead and run a plant in, I believe it's Australia. Later this, actually, I guess it's May or June of next year, they're supposed to be putting a plant in China. Really? We're going to put a Chevrolet plant in China. Something, I got relatives that worked for GM in Ohio, and, and they're disgusted by it. Why couldn't you sit there and do this plant back in Ohio? Why couldn't you do that plant in Detroit? Why couldn't you have done that plant in Montana or anywheres? Hell, why didn't you do it in Florida? It's all about profits. It's all about greed. I mean, when's the last time you heard of CEO at McDonald's making $100 million golden parachute? Didn't happen. But boy, you got these big automakers, and they're too big to fail. You know something? They should have failed. They should have let each and every one of the ones that had the Goldman Sachs, Barnett Bank, Bank of America, should have failed. They should have let them fall, because you know something? Within a year's time, you would have had another auto companies, other bankers, other companies that would have came right up. And you know something? They might have been ran 100% better. Then again, they may have been ran 100% worse. But, who's accountable for it? Accountability. Unfortunately, America no longer has any more accountability. We all just sit around and we take everything for granted. And, we just we hope for the best. I mean, we're all guilty of it. Hell, myself, I'm guilty of it too. I sit back and I hope for the best. What's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know, but I'll hope for the best. It's not the fact that you can sit there and say, well, something, I'm going to go out and make a change. Because a lot of people lost their drive. A lot of people, they lost their dignity. They lost their pride, and it's just like now, pretty much a lot of people gave up. And that's the whole problem. A lot of us did give up. And it's like, where do we go from here? Well, something, people, we got to shake it off. We got to come back to our senses. And we got to remember one thing in life. We're Americans. None of this BS. Well, I'm an African American, or I'm German American, or I'm Chinese American. You know something? When you cross them damn borders and you land in this damn country, you take your citizenship and you've got that citizenship, you're an American. As far as I'm concerned, and that's the way it should be. Politically correct? BS. You know something? We've catered to where we've kissed everybody in this country, other countries' asses all the time. And what has it done for us? It's cost us trillions of dollars is what it's cost us. You know something? You come to America, guess what? Learn English. Pretty plain and simple. Learn English. You go to South America, hey, for all of us Americans that go down there and stuff like that, learn Spanish. Same thing. You go to China, learn Chinese. Chinese come over here, learn American. I mean, come on, learn English. It's that simple. I'm an American. I can drive down the interstate in Florida and I see Spanish signs. I don't know Spanish. It could have been something important, but I don't know. So, and this is where our countries came to. We've come to a situation to where we cater to other nations, we cater to other nationalities. We don't really do a whole hell of a lot for our homeless, except sit there and treat them like they're the plague. Our veterans, that kills me. Our veterans, especially, something, the World War II veterans, for the few of them that are still alive, hey, hats off to them, man. And I'm going to tell you what, each and every person that should ever run across somebody that served in World War II, you need to shake their damn hand and you need to tell them you're damn proud of them. Same thing with our Korean War vets, our Vietnam vets, especially our Vietnam vets. Here's a group of guys that were thrown into, guess what? A political war. Kind of sounds like Gulf War, Gulf War I, Gulf War II. All political. How many thousands of people died in Vietnam? What was it, 50, 60,000 people? And guess what? People, look back. Look back and look at the accountability. Where's the accountability again? It wasn't on our government. They pissed us off. So we had to go over there and prove to them that we're going to go over there and kick their ass. Well, guess what? We got our asses handed to us. Same thing with World War II. Pearl Harbor. Hey, they went over there and they handed our asses to us. We had poor intelligence. People wasn't paying attention. And you know something? Many men died. But also at the same time, hey, we had a president back then that had a pair of cojones the size of grapefruits to sit there and said, well, hey, boys, guess what? You want to piss us off? We're going to stop this. We're going to end it right now. And he did. Yep, called atomic bomb. So you know something? And let me tell you something. That was the worst devastation I've ever seen in history as far as anything like that. The devastation it did. But guess what we did? We went back over there and we built their whole cities back. We built their, everything, their buildings, their hospitals, everything. We went and built it all back. It's just like they sit there and say, well, hey, we won the war, but, we lost, God, what was it? Well, we lost industry or something like that. So, but hey, I can't even think, brain dead. So, and this is the kind of stuff that happens. We go over to Afghanistan. Hey, how many people out there knew that the United States was paying the Taliban, I think it was either $1 or $4 million to use one of the roads over there that we can sit there and drive our troops down? I mean, really? I mean, come on. That's unheard of. I mean, if they're going to sit there and use that road and they know we're using a road, well, let's see. Is that called the sitting duck syndrome? But we did it. Why are we in Afghanistan? Two things. America still wants the drugs. And the other part of it is that gas pipeline. They want that natural gas industry over there so bad they can taste it. Because there's only 2 American companies that are bidding on it, last I heard. And they're proposed to get it. So, and I mean, that's going to be billions and billions, possibly even trillions of dollars that's going to come out in that. So, and if for, anybody out there that thinks wars are not based on political gains, you better think again. I mean, because here's something for you. And I hope that, hey, if there's anybody out there that knows any different, please correct me. When Bush went into Kuwait to sit there and go after Saddam Hussein, he went in and started a war without the official act of Congress. That's unheard of for a president to be able to walk in and start a war. Same thing with Obama did the same thing from what I was understanding. I mean, if I'm wrong, hey, people call in 727-493-2055. Somebody tell me that I'm wrong. I mean, hey, I do make mistakes. So, how can a president just sit there and call a nation up, say, okay, hey, look, we're going to come over there. We're going to bomb your ass. We're going to take you out. And we're going to do it now. I thought this all had to go through political procedures. We skipped them. So, so who's accountable? There we go. Accountability again. For all those people out there, those mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, for all those people that sit out there and lost so many people that died in, the Iraqi war. Hey, next time you ever get a chance, and if you ever get a chance to meet George Bush Jr. or Dick Cheney, you know something? You ought to treat them like the Vietnam vets got treated. You should either sit over there and call them people killers, baby killers. You can spit on them. They can't do nothing to you now. So, because as far as I'm concerned, basically my opinion on this, hey, Bush Jr. and Dick Cheney, both of them should be tried for war crimes and be put and locked away to where they're never heard from again. Period. Either that or just execute them right out in the middle of the damn street. So, same thing with Bush Jr. and 9/11. Hey, Dick Cheney, there we go. Both of these guys, they need to go out there and have their asses hung out on the line for that. I'm sorry, people. I will never, ever in my life until the day I die believe that 9/11 happened through terrorists. I just can't fathom it. There's too many signs, too many indications. And, we trained all those people. We trained bin Laden. We trained those pilots. These were all certain specific operatives of all of our, of our so-called dark ops and all this and everything like that. And this is sad. We actually trained the people to kill us. I mean, unbelievable. So, I look at it this way. With the situation that you got on with this so-called scandal with Petraeus and the other heads, something? How many people did their period of time that they were in here, as far as general, how many people were they training? Did they train bin Laden? Did they train these pilots? Did they train these other operatives that we don't know about yet and won't know about until the time comes when some major catastrophe happens? This is all stuff that, everybody needs to see. They need to look. They need to think. Once you can sit there and think and look and see what's going on, it's like, it won't add up at first, but when everything starts coming out, guess what? 2 and 2 make 2. That's the mentality. But it's just like, hey, all you got to do is just check it out. And people will understand that this is the kind of stuff that we're not paying attention to. I mean, you start sitting there adding all this up. I mean, look at Petraeus, this situation with Benghazi. Okay, we've got a general to sit there and banged his autobiographer. Who cares? But now the problem is he was sharing secrets. So now you've got another general that's involved. You've got other military personnel that are involved. You've got 4 dead Americans. You've got Susan Rice that's involved. And it's just like, this thing is going to be Obama's Watergate. And it's going to be interesting to see where it goes and how far it'll go. Because, there has to be accountability in government, because our government has no accountability as it is. Oh, it was the last guy's fault. Bush did it. Clinton did it. Bush Sr.'s fault. It's the next guy's fault coming up. Well, it's going to be really interesting because, hey, I can tell you right now, in 2016, people, mark my words, we are going to see a female running for president again that could possibly win. And there's no doubt in my mind she will be a Democrat. So you've got a couple of interesting women. No, it's not Hillary Clinton. She's done. She won't come out at all because she makes enough money. She doesn't need the headaches and the hassle of the presidency. She's earned her keep. She's got her foot planted, and she doesn't need no more of this. So her and Bill would always be able to do whatever they want to do. There was no doubt about that. No, actually, I'm more apt to sit there and say that you're going to see Condoleezza Rice run. So I really do believe she's going to do it. She's been groomed. She's being groomed, and I think it's going to happen. So not to mention that I think there's going to be another person that's going to run that's really going to sit there and get people going. And that's Michelle Obama. Because here's the thing. Start watching for her to be very, very popular, especially the last 2 years of this final four of Obama. So, because it's going to be really interesting to see just how much in the public eye that she's going to be. You're going to see her doing more work than she's ever done. And don't be surprised when she runs for that Democratic nomination. So, and the worst part about it is, don't be surprised when she gets it. So, and it's sad to say, I don't have any more faith in our governmental system. I think it's turned out to be, just really bad. So, and I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to work at all for us. So, I mean, it's just going to be one nasty situation after another. So, it's just like, what do? We just got to really push in and dig our heels in and get our heads out of our keisters and make things happen. So, and one of the other things that's really going to be real interesting that people need to really take a good look at, Israel and the Gaza Strip. I mean, we've got a powder keg right there because I really truly believe that Israel is going to go after Gaza. And I think that it's also going to go in there to where they possibly will go in there and attack Iran. So, and it's just, Israel's been our ally for many, many years. I'm just waiting to see what Obama's going to do on this because I know that there's talk about their need to go in there and check it out and see if they can stop this altogether right now. So that way, no more bloodshed happens. But Israel's pissed and they're not putting up with it. And I have to say, it's going to be a sad thing. So, and I hope it doesn't turn out to be something where another war is going to be drawn in because I don't know if Obama is going to be able to stand behind Israel or if he's going to take somebody else's part. So, and it's going to suck. So, because either way it goes, we're going to lose lives, we're going to lose money, and it's not going to be good. Because no war is ever good. Anytime you've got one life that's wasted, it's not good. And and I hate to say wasted because it's not a waste. But for the political gains and stuff that goes on in our wars, it's sickening. And sooner or later, these presidents have to be held accountable for basically, I want to say, the atrocities that they sit there and do because of their so-called political BS that they have to sit there and portray. So, and it's ridiculous. So, but yep, we're almost out of time here. We got a couple more minutes. So, and actually, I'd like to say that, hey, anybody out there that's listening to stuff, hey, take some time. Go take a couple bucks or whatever you can do. Go to your local church. Try and help a person out, by going in there and find the churches that are going to be open for Thanksgiving that are going to be able to help some of the homeless people out. Because the sad part about it is some of those homeless people, I mean, it's sad that they're all homeless, but some of those are our veterans. And you know something? That needs to stop. We need to go out there and do something to where we can get veterans and start helping them. I mean, these guys stuck their lives on the line for our so-called freedoms. Well, you know something? We need to be able to give them a hand up and get their lives back on track as well, even as well as our own. So, and it's just, I really do believe we need to sit there and start helping. Americans need to help Americans. We can no longer trust our government to sit there and help us in any way. And, and it's sad. So, and this is what we got to do. So Americans have to sit there and trust Americans. And, it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, pink, or purple. You all got to sit there and have a say and make things happen. If it's $2, $5, $10, anything you can do. If it's a turkey or, a chicken, canned goods, anything. Metropolitan Ministries. I know they feed a lot of people around the Bay Area. So, just keep checking, look around, take that extra 5, 10 minutes, help these people out because something it's good to be able to do that. And I'm sure that everybody, it'll be good to watch. So, but other than that, we're going to return back in about 2 weeks. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. And we will be looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. And we're going to have a hell of a show lined up in 2 weeks. A lot of special guests and some politicians. So other than that, you guys take care. Have a good Thanksgiving. And we're done. To follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause.